Scores of people are feared dead after a bomb exploded at a mosque in Jambutu town in Yola. The bomb went off just as worshippers were getting ready for prayers. Our correspondent in Yola says that some of the residents in the area protested what they perceive as poor handling of the situation by soldiers, forcing the troops to shoot into the air. And also, prior to that blast, 6 people died after a bomb went off at a mosque behind the Magistrate Court Polo area in Maiduguri, Borno State. The National Emergency Management Agency says the bomb was detonated by a suicide bomber during the early morning prayers.
Having a morning prayer very early in the morning, a suicide bomber detonated a bomb inside and killed about 6 people, including the bomber himself. And about 17 people were injured, and then out of them, 5 were seriously injured. They were taken to the teaching hospital, Maiduguri, and then 12 were taken to the specialist hospital, Maiduguri. By the time we take them to the trauma center, the doctors will take over. We have various rescue efforts by the doctors without borders, and then the hospital doctors also, they will take over the treatment, and then certain people where the most critical one, then they will be referred to the teaching hospital. And this is exactly what happened before we left.
Well, it's victory at last for university students in South Africa. After 5 days of intense protest against government's proposed tuition fee hike, the South African government has finally succumbed to their demand, at least for now. President Jacob Zuma has decided to rule out any increases in university tuition fees for next year. Mr. Zuma announced the move as students gathered by his office in the capital amid clashes with the police as they fired stun grenades to disperse the protesters. The protests have been the biggest student protest to hit the country since apartheid ended in 1994. The students had rejected an earlier government offer to cap increases at 6%, down from the 10% to 12% proposed by the management of universities. Today marks 70 years since the United Nations was founded. UN Day marks the anniversary of the entry into force in 1945 of the UN Charter. The United Nations General Assembly recommended that the day be observed by member states with a concert, but most notably with a Turn the World UN Blue event where iconic monuments, buildings, statues, bridges and other landmarks across the world will be lit up blue to help unite global citizens and promote the message of peace, development and human rights. Well, the peace agreement signed by the warring factions in South Sudan appears to be wobbly as government and rebel forces accuse each other of breaching the conditions they had both agreed to. The fighting is indeed affecting many South Sudanese. As the UN says, at least 30% people in the 30,000 people that is in the country are facing starvation, even as fighting prevents aid agencies from delivering humanitarian aid. 2 years of civil war has left nearly 4 million people, particularly young children, facing severe hunger. The conflict has left a third of the country's population in crisis since last year.